All right, this is Lionel Foster. I'm with Eric Toder, Institute Fellow and Co-Director of the Urban-Brookings Tax Policy Center. Thanks for joining me, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
So, Eric, you've pointed out that the decline in international trade and investment during the pandemic might actually make it easier to tax the income of U.S. multinational corporations. Why is that?
Well, one of the problems with the corporate tax is corporations are global institutions, but the taxing entities are individual countries. So it's very difficult for an individual country by itself to tax a global institution effectively. If we put too high a tax on our corporations, they'll find a way to shift the reporting of their profits to low tax jurisdictions. If we tax them on their worldwide profits, which some have suggested, then they find ways of shifting their corporate residence to other countries. And if they don't shift their corporate residence, then other countries' multinationals grow at their expense. So because of these pressures, corporate tax rates have been falling all over the world for the past 30 years. The United States was actually an outlier. Our corporate rate was much higher than the average in the OECD until 2017, when we dropped the rate from 35 to 21% and eliminated the tax on repatriations from overseas. So while that was the most regressive element of the 2017 tax bill, in some sense it was an unavoidable thing that we couldn't stay. It was unsustainable for us to tax corporations at a higher rate than other countries did.
Mm-hmm.
So with the fall in global trade and global commerce, it actually gives us an opportunity to raise the corporate tax rate back. That's one good aspect of deglobalization, so to speak. There are a lot of bad aspects of it, but that's one good aspect of it. Makes it a little easier for us to tax our corporate entities because it reduces the opportunities for profit shifting and for movement of investment overseas.
Could you draw that out for us just a little bit? So the pandemic, of course, is decreasing the amount of economic activity and certainly the amount of profits that U.S. multinational corporations will be able to create in other tax jurisdictions. But what's the link from that to our being able to raise corporate tax rates in the U.S.?
So if we raise corporate tax rates in the U.S., there's less of an opportunity for them to avoid those taxes than there previously was. So as they become domestic-only entities, we can move our rates back to something near what they used to be in the past. And other countries might be able to do the same thing. This has been a global erosion of the corporate tax, not just in the United States.
Got it. So basically, it sounds like part of what the pandemic is doing is giving multinational corporations kind of fewer options for where they can profitably operate. So that gives, an individual tax jurisdiction like the U.S. a bit more leverage.
That's correct. And another thing I think is what we've seen in the way the aid has been given out and the payroll protection, which was supposed to go to small business, which is actually going to a lot of large corporations, is going to increase the public feeling about maybe corporations should be paying more when it comes time to recovering some of the revenue that we've lost in this episode.
Okay. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are already thinking and beginning to write about how will we pay for the absolutely necessary stimulus that Congress and the White House have put into place. Well, we'll stop right there. Thank you so much, Eric, and we'll come back to this.